Transformers fans, it's finally time to follow up on one of the most requested videos on this channel.
Ask and you shall receive.
The response to the History of Transformers 1984 edition has been overwhelming. And that was just the first year. I know it's been a bit of a wait.
You'll pay dearly for this!
But you know how the old saying goes.
Bad things come in small packages.
I was thinking more of good things come to those who wait. Anyways, it's time for the History of Transformers 1985 edition.
And not an astrosecond too soon.
Transformers burst on the scene in 1984 and captured the hearts of toy lovers worldwide, and is arguably the most successful toy line of all time. Still going strong to this day with a movie series that has grossed billions of dollars, plus countless comic and animated series, games, and sublines, many of which are currently available at Big Bad Toy Store. If you thought the first year of Autobots and Decepticons was stacked, you ain't seen nothing yet.
The battle's just begun!
In '85, Hasbro put the pedal to the metal on Synergy and put out a bunch of media to provide characters and stories for the highly advanced Cybertronians. The 4-issue limited series from Marvel, penned by Bud Budiansky, was extended into an ongoing series in the US. And across the pond in the UK, Marvel churned out issues like Insecticon Clones with issues 9 to 42, and the Transformers Annual Special. A number of different reading and coloring books were released worldwide. The first ever Transformers video game was released for the Commodore 64. And then the big one for many kids of the 80s, the Sunbow animated series. 13 of the Season 1 episodes were released on VHS for those who forgot to record them on their VCRs, or the recording timer messed up thanks to AM/PM, as was my case often. And 45 new episodes of Season 2 debuted on September 23rd, with the episode Autobots Spike, penned by Donald F. Glutt. It only took the line 1 year to grow a fandom large enough to warrant a fan club too. For $6.50 US, Transformers fans could join STARS, the secret Transformer Autobot Rescue Squad. Because 80s acronyms. Joining up got you a membership kit which included a membership card, so you could literally be a card-carrying Transformers fan, an iron-on patch, poster, and tech specs manual. All of this media helped to create the legendary characters that hit store shelves that year.
I think it's time we BAM! Join the party!
All of the original 84 lineup was offered again, and just like G.I. Joe added an incentive with their reissues of the 82 Joes by adding swivel arm battle grip, the mini-bots included tiny motorized transformers called mini-spies that were almost as big as the mini-bots themselves.
You get one with each of the 6 Autobot mini-car packages, motorized transformers.
There were 4 different kinds of mini-spy: the 4-wheel drive or Jeep, Buggy, FX1, and Porsche. And they were available in 3 different colors: blue, white, or yellow. They also featured the new Transformers rub symbol.
It's a Decepticon! After him!
And you didn't know if you got an Autobot or Decepticon until some heat was applied.
You can't tell if they're Autobots or Decepticons until you rub up their symbol.
That's 24 different possible combinations for this often forgotten bonus subset. 23 new Autobots were available in stores, up from 18 of the previous year, and 18 new Decepticons terrorized the aisles, up from 10 of the previous year. And those weren't the only Cybertronians storming through the space bridge. With the success of G.I. Joe's mail-away exclusive offers, Transformers followed suit with 6 mail-away exclusives, a trio of Power Dashers, technically released in late '84, and a trio of Omnibots, slightly smaller-sized Autobot cars with a mighty power that could save the day. Hasbro once again went to the Takara well for most of the Year 2 releases, which had been released earlier in Japan under the Diaclone line. But when the well dried up, they sought out other Transformer-like offerings from Toy Box and Takatoku Toys. Try saying that 5 times fast.
We need reinforcements, and we need them now!
But '85 wasn't just about all new designs. Looking to catch lightning in a bottle again, they followed the remold technique of the first year again by reusing some of the first year toys and changing a few parts and colors to create something new. Hasbro's motto was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, just tweak it. Let's start the roster list with the Decepticons.
Decepticons! Charge!
A trio of Seekers were released again in '85 using the design of the first three Seekers, Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker.
Target sighted! Commence the attack!
This time, though, they received new unique parts, such as wings and weapons. To further differentiate them from the '84 Seekers, a transformation step was omitted for them, hence the fan nickname of the Coneheads.
I just changed heads last week!
There was Thrust, Dirge, and Ramjet.
You are supposed to be the most powerful jets in the galaxy!
Well, things don't always work out the way they're supposed to, and the Coneheads ended up being comic relief more often than not.
You disgust me!
The Decepticons maintain their supremacy of the sky with two more soaring scoundrels.
Megatron creates triple changers, the most evil Decepticons of all.
And what makes them so evil? This pair of awful aircraft pulled double dastardly duty as two of the first Transformers with a gimmick other than just transforming from robot to vehicle. Behold, the Triple Changers. Now the Decepticons would rule the air and land with Blitzwing, who could transform from robot to plane to tank, and Astrotrain, one of the most helpful Decepticons,
It's hard to get good help these days.
who acted as a personnel carrier in both modes, train and space shuttle. While the gimmick of having two alternate modes instead of just one is very cool, it also comes at a price. The more alt modes that are added, it seems, the weaker each mode appears. Just look at some of the later Six Changers.
You are either lying or you're stupid!
Touchy, touchy. 1985 was a devastating year for the Decepticons in the best possible sense, with the release of the Constructicons.
6 evil robots that transform into one mechanical giant.
Not only were the baddies' ranks bolstered by 6, thanks to these chartreuse charlatans,
Scavenger! Mixmaster! Long Haul! Bone Crusher! Hook! And myself!
Scrapper!
but you could argue a 7th Decepticon joined Megatron's forces when the 6 merged to form the first Transformers Combiner, Devastator.
Constructicons, transform into Devastator!
What could possibly withstand the might of Devastator?
Nothing can withstand the might of Devastator!
Well, that answers that question. And after being shortchanged the first year, the Decepticon numbers grew thanks to the Insecticons.
A couple of metallic mosquitoes!
Oh, it was a lot more than a couple, Prime. We're talking hundreds, maybe thousands of giant insects.
Giant insects?
What are you, deaf? Clean out your audio sensors, you positronic putz. Sorry, we've got an issue going way back. Anyway, Bombshell, Shrapnel, and Kickback may have been small,
Insecticons, transform!
but what they lacked in size, they more than made up for in numbers. And appetite.
I'm starved.
Transformers may have been too expensive for army building, but with some strategically placed mirrors, you could bolster your ranks of villains to outnumber the Autobots. And if those weren't enough to make you bug out, Hasbro licensed 4 more designs from Takatoku Toys, got it, to create even more buzz. Barrage, Ransack, Venom, and Chop Shop, were larger than the 3 Takara-designed Insecticons, but because they were designed by a Takara competitor that would eventually be bought by Bandai, they couldn't be sold in Japan under the Transformers banner, and as such were left off the animated series so as not to provide free advertising for a competitor. Another licensed design that did make it to the cartoon though, episode 1 in fact, was Shockwave.
You are to stay behind.
Cybertron shall remain as you leave it.
He may have been left behind to guard Cybertron in the initial year, but leaving him out of the 85 lineup would have been illogical. So Hasbro licensed Toy Co.'s mold for their 4 changeable Astro Magnum to use as everyone's favorite logical lowlife, creating one of the first Transformers to have battery-powered electronics.
I must protect Cybertron from all hostile threats.
Since the mold was licensed and not owned by Hasbro, the design, with tweaks, would show up later in Radio Shacks as Galactic Man, affectionately referred to by fans as Shackwave. That's a whole lot of Decepticons. A few more may have joined the ranks in the second season of the show, but because they were technically released in '86, I'll wait until that episode to cover the Stunticons, Combaticons, and their Autobot counterparts, the Aerial Bots and Protectobots. So that's all the Decepticons for that year. How about we take a look at the Autobots?
We'd like nothing better. Lead on.
Some of the biggest personalities in '84 were given to the smallest Autobots, and Hasbro followed that winning formula again in '85. 5 new mini-bots were released. Sea-Spray wasn't afraid to get his toes wet.
Grab hold of me. We're going for a swim.
And was a much more affordable hovercraft than the G.I. Joe Killer Whale of the previous year. There was Beachcomber, the super chill geologist, who was more interested in studying his surroundings than blasting it to smithereens.
Beachcomber? Oh, he's a thinker, not a fighter.
And one of the most egoless Transformers of all, highly empathic and always thinking of others.
Well, what about the others?
See what I mean? And we got our first flying mini-bots.
Don't forget about me!
Ah yes, how could I BLAM! Forget about Zowie! This guy.
Wham! Bang! Warpaths on the roll!
The tank with a hilarious case of Kazowie! Cybertronian Tourette's, as it's called by fans. Zorn!
Bam! Gotcha! Bang! Yeah!
Boom! And the Autobots went off-road in '85 thanks to the last 2 mini-bots. The Autobots finally gave the Decepticons something to deal with in the skies.
It's a jet! It's a rocket! No! It's Power Glide!
Who was stealing hearts when he wasn't blasting Decepts apart. And you know how the Decepticons were the only ones with space travel capability?
Not anymore!
Cosmos blasted off into outer space for some interstellar reconnaissance. With the massive success of the original 11 mid-sized Autobot cars, Hasbro utilized the remaining Takara Diaclone molds, along with a few repaints, to add 7 car reinforcements.
New Autobots join Optimus Prime. Smokescreen, Trax, Hoist, Inferno, Red Alert, and Grapple.
Since it hadn't been used in the first year, the truck mold was used twice in '85, as a crane for the Autobot architect Grapple.
I am an artist!
Sorry, the Autobot artist Grapple. And for those situations that were too hot for the Autobots to handle,
Back! The heat will cook our data banks!
Inferno was there to douse any blaze alongside his fellow '85 firefighter Barbecue.
This job has my name on it!
The Lamborghini mold was reissued again for Inferno's little buddy, Red Alert.
Inferno wants my job!
Man, this guy is paranoid. I love the idea of our brave firefighters driving Lambos, though.
There's always a fire, somewhere.
That's right, and you can get to it pretty fast in a Lamborghini. Can we make this happen in real life, please? I mean, the cops got a Datsun, right? Speaking of which, the Fair Lady mold was used for a third time for Smokescreen. Give me a second to open a window here. That's better. And the last repaint was the Toyota Hilux,
They call me Hoist.
with a new rig in the back for towing.
Ready for my big scene, Mr. Director?
Okay, Moist. Pick up a donut from the catering truck and relax until I call for you.
Donut?
And 2 more new molds for 85. The Honda City Turbo Skids. And a Corvette that makes me think of just one expression. Hello, gorgeous.
For obvious reasons.
Tracks arrived to put Sunstreaker's narcissism to shame.
What an auto ham!
It's hard to be humble, though, when you're not just a fast car, but a fast jet, too. Tracks could sprout wings and help bolster the Autobots' aerial forces as well. Before Jurassic Park gave everyone dino fever, the Autobots were showing kids just how cool dinosaurs could be with the 5 lovable, lumbering behemoths. The colossal Dinobots.
Look at the size of those things. Great Cybertron.
Okay, I guess it's all about perspective. They were played up as being enormous on the show, but in the toys, they weren't all that much bigger than the existing Autobots. There was the leader, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, Grimlock.
No!
No what?
Dinobots, no go!
Come on, man.
Me, Grimlock, no take orders.
Help me out here. People have been waiting a long time for this vid.
Never!
Please?
Yes, yes, no!
Well, why not?
Me don't know why not. So we help. This time.
Thank you.
Dinobots, transform!
As I was saying, there was the leader.
Me, Grimlock, greatest warrior!
The Triceratops Slag, who wasn't a fan of anything.
Me slag no like anything.
Except maybe melting down Decepticons. The Brontosaurus with a penchant for punting. Sludge. The Stegosaurus Snarl, who was a double threat thanks to his spiked tail, as well as the reflective plates on his back. And some more much-needed air support with the Pteranodon. Swoop.
Swoopsie Decepticon!
Despite their low IQs, the Formidable Five are one of the most popular Transformers subgroups ever, proving that power and poor grammar makes up for a lack of wit and finesse any day. And the scale issues continued with the next 2 Autobots, except the other way.
You are seriously out of your league, brother.
The 5 gigantic Dinobots, who weren't all that gigantic, were joined by a pair of actual toy giants that weren't supposed to be all that giant, mainly because their alt modes were meant to be life-sized. Originally from Takara's Micro Change line, these 2 took the theme of robots in disguise to another level by being functional in their alt modes. Perceptor.
Wait a moment while I take a closer look.
Transformed into a working microscope that allowed him to fuss with chips.
If I didn't fuss with chips, you couldn't crush Decepticons.
And one of the coolest Autobots next to Jazz, it's Blaster, the boombox.
Yeah, music, the universal language.
While Blaster had been a functional tape deck in the Microchange line, But the electronics were gutted by Hasbro, unfortunately, to the chagrin of kids and dads worldwide.
Oh, what a day of being a tough, no-nonsense New York cop. Time for some Steely Dan and the old cassette player and some newspaper. All right, what's in the news today? Bad news, and more bad news as usual, but that's okay, because I got some Steely Dan to make it all go away. What? Hey! What the actual hey? Are my eyes going on me, or is this smaller? Well, I don't have the patience for this. I'm gonna blast this thing. Oh, what the hey? This is some kind of ray gun. Like from that Star Trek Wars show with Captain Spock and Luke Starvader or something. Martha! You're gonna turn this kid into a nerd! Where's my Schofield?
Even without working electronics, Blaster was still one of the most anticipated Autobots of the 85 lineup, because now Soundwave finally had someone whose dial turned just as high.
I've been waiting a long time for this. You poor excuse for a sound system. All talk, no shock.
Blaster!
My audio receptors. What is that noise?
Humans call it music.
My ears! The earmuffs do nothing!
The music is shaking me apart!
Me too! Blaster! Cut it out!
Sounds all right to me.
Oh, figures! Blaster! Blaster!
Blaster! Shut up!
Phew! Give me a minute for the ringing in my ears to go away. Ah. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, the final 4 regular-sized Autobots of 85, who were some of the lesser-known G1 Autobots thanks to never being featured on the cartoon. For kids who didn't have the patience or finesse for intricate transformations, the Jump Starters sprang into action with a quick change. Top Spin and Twin Twist would flip into their robot modes after being pulled back and rolling out.
In the world of the Transformers, no Autobot can jump into action faster than Jump Starters.
And Hasbro called upon Takatoku Toys again for the deluxe Autobots, Roadbuster and Whirl, who, like the deluxe Insecticons, could not be sold in Japan as Transformers, and so were omitted from much of the Transformers media promoting the line. That's a lot of Autobots, and they needed a place to hang their hat, or rather helmets, so the first Transformers playset was released in '85, not counting Optimus Prime's trailer, that is. The company Toy Box had designed Super Change Robo Mechabot 1 for the Takara rival Tomy, and Omega had never been able to be released in Japan as a Transformer until the Takara-Tomy merger in 2006. Since the Decepticons were now battery-powered thanks to Shockwave, the Autobots also loaded up on the AA's, allowing Omega to circle his tank track ever vigilantly, as well as walk in robot mode. In addition to the gargantuan tank and track, Omega was prepared to blast off into orbit thanks to his rocket and gantry, providing the Autobots more air support and some company for Cosmos in space.
Yeah, give me some company out here.
And speaking of air support, one Autobot equalized all 8 Decepticon aircraft by himself.
The ultimate robot jet, Jetfire.
Transformers, more than meets the eye.
And that commercial clip is the only existing animated footage of Jetfire. one of the most sought-after Transformers that's not really a Transformer. Designed by Takatoku Toys, Robotech fans will instantly recognize him as the Macross VF-1S Super Valkyrie. Like the deluxe Autobots and Insecticons, the decision was made to not include Jetfire on the animated series since he couldn't be sold in Japan as a Transformer. But that didn't mean Skyfire couldn't appear.
I'll keep an eye on the Decepticons from Skyside.
A similar-sized and colored giant jet debuted in the Season 2 episode Fire in the Sky as a way of skirting rights issues, but still giving viewers a personality to give to their large, expensive birthday or Christmas present that year.
Butt out, deceptive bum!
If that didn't tip the scales in the Autobots' favor enough, 6 mail-away exclusives were offered as well. The Power Dashers were available for $3 and 2 robot points. The Power Dashers are monumental in the fact that they were the first Transformers that sucked.
Inferior construction, even for an Autobot.
Okay, maybe they didn't completely suck, but there was certainly a departure in quality from the other G1 offerings up to that point, and they seem more like something that would be included with a Happy Meal than have the Transformers brand logo on it. Especially since their alt modes were Cybertronian instead of Earth vehicles or gear. They didn't even have names. They were Jet, Drill, and F1. Although they did have names when they were released in '83 as part of Takara's Diachron line. Chromar, the leader, Zetar, and Aragon? Son of Arathon. The last 3 mail-away Autobots did seem more in line with the Transformers brand though. Originally released as double changers in Takara's Diaclone line, Camshaft, Overdrive, and Downshift not only transformed from robot to vehicle, but while in vehicle mode, they could reveal attack modes, similar to mask vehicles.
You pay for this?
Being so much cooler than the Power Dashers, the Omnibots commanded a hefty $5 each, plus 4 robot points. And that rounds out the brave Autobots of 1985.
With friends like these, real friends, it's easy to be brave.
I can certainly concur with that. And that's the history of Transformers 1985 edition.
Satisfied, gentlemen?
Thanks to everyone who watched, commented, and shared the last history video. The response was quite touching. Hope you enjoyed this one too.
You're going to need help.
Nah, thanks Moist, but I'm okay.
You need help.
Okay, well, if you're in a position to help the channel, you can click on the Patreon link in the show notes and choose your rank. Tons of extras are offered and no flag points required for rewards such as exclusive videos, polls, commentaries, and roundtable discussions. And a huge, I'm talking Omega Supreme size thanks to the Patreon tribe for supporting the channel and helping create a positive, fun community. This video, along with everything else you see on this channel, doesn't happen without the names you see scrolling on the left side of the screen.
We don't need to share the glory.
Yeah, I really do. I feel extremely blessed to have met so many wonderful people through these videos, and formed such genuine friendships. So thank you, from the bottom of my fuel pump. And a big shout out to Burr Icy for providing the beautiful photos for this video for the Transformers that I'm missing. Feel free to share the video if you liked it, leave a robotic response below, and to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Until the History of Transformers 1986 edition, Grimlock, you want to say goodbye to all the Transformers fans?
Goodbye!
Well, I wouldn't exactly call that a warm farewell.
Goodbye! We'll never forget thee!
That's better. Transform and roll out!